do a clap. I don't know. I feel weird not doing a clap. Yeah, you have to. So it's a rule.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
It's me, Alex, and my good friend, Casey.
Hey, everybody.
This is our podcast.
Oh, my
apparently.
goodness.
I know.
This is so exciting.
Do we have a name for?
It depends on if you like the name.
Yeah. Should we agree with that name?
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Sure.
It's the Resolve Creators Podcast.
There we go.
So welcome.
What do we want to share as far as the vision of this podcast? What do we want this to be?
We want this to be a place where you can come listen to two random people talking about DaVinci Resolve and everything around it. So we are both, of course, editors. We edit in DaVinci Resolve quite a lot, but we're also YouTubers. And a big part of our business is YouTube, having our faces all over the internet for people to mock and abuse in the comment sections. So we figured it'd be really cool to get together and talk about that sort of thing.
Ah, yes.
It's DaVinci Resolve, but it's also every small thing which hangs off this DaVinci Resolve banner. Sometimes we might talk about our favourite angle in the inspector or something really nerdy.
Yeah.
And then other times we'll talk about our favourite breakfast cereal we eat while editing.
Yes.
It's the full scope of everything.
Yeah, I think it's the life stuff around being a content creator, you know. A lot of my life is spent in DaVinci Resolve. I'll give you that. But my life is not DaVinci Resolve. It's you know, being a husband and being a dad and being somebody who lives that content creator lifestyle and also happens to use DaVinci Resolve. You know, because that's the thing is like when the rubber meets the road, everybody's a person and stuff's more complicated than, just go over here to the inspector and click this button. It's doing that while dealing with the crushing self-esteem problems that you might have with, I'm never going to make it as an editor and such.
Yeah. Here's a depressing thought then. What percentage? You said you spend a lot of time in DaVinci Resolve, but not all your time. Have you ever thought about how much time?
Oh boy. Let me do some quick maths.
Yeah, I don't know. 5 or 6 hours a day?
Yeah, gosh, probably.
Probably.
Yeah, so 24 divided by 6, that's a quarter of your time.
That's a quarter of your life.
At least on the weekdays for me, you know. So.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we should end the podcast.
Anyway, so we're not doing this. I'm going to go do something substantial with my life.
I'm going to go outside and touch some grass.
Yeah, enjoy God's green earth.
We've managed to make ourselves and everyone else depressed.
Yes.
In the first 4 minutes of our podcast.
Amazing. You're welcome. Make sure to hit that follow button if you're on Spotify and give us a rating of 1 or 2. That'd be great.
Join in every week for more depressing conversations.
It's true. You ever thought about how many people are better than you? So many. Oh, yeah. It's true, though.
Oh,
it's
dear.
True.
Well,
I guess that's the end. Thanks, guys.
That is the end. So I guess we should introduce ourselves.
All right.
I shall let you introduce yourself first.
Okay.
And then I shall follow on. So, okay. Mr. Faris, who are you?
Well, my name's Casey. I like to party. Now, I know for a fact that I don't party.
Well, no, because you're spending 6 hours a day.
Dude, I'm spending all my time on the computer. Yeah, my name's Casey Faris, and I do a YouTube channel, and I talk about DaVinci Resolve, and been doing that for, 10 years? More than that. Goodness me. 12 years? Something like that. An enormous amount of time. And started out doing color in Resolve. That's where I learned it, and ended up just editing as Resolve grew and doing editing in Resolve and stuff. I used a different suite of software before that and was a big fan. And eventually...
Care to share any names?
No.
No?
Nope. It rhymes with Badobi.
Badobi Emir.
Yeah. And I worked on a reality TV show for quite a while and ended up really cutting my teeth doing color and ended up starting kind of sharing some stuff that I've learned on a blog and some videos, and people started liking them. And so, kind of grew that YouTube channel over the last few years, and recently kind of starting niching down into doing fusion stuff. So super super into Fusion, visual effects, motion graphics, and specifically teaching people who are relatively new to motion graphics and VFX how to use Fusion. So that's kind of, I don't know, on the professional side, what I'm about and who I am and stuff. I own a company with my buddy Dan, and we do training, in-depth training on Fusion. And we also make short films, and it's a great time. So I'm a dad. I have 3 kids, and they're all like, well, there's one that's 4 years old, one that's 7, and one that's 9, and they keep me very busy. And yeah, that's pretty much my life, is chasing children around and doing DaVinci Resolve stuff. And I'm also big into mental health, and I'm on the board of directors for a nonprofit called Heart Support that helps people in the music scene with mental health things. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I don't know, just got a big old dumb old heart and want to help a bunch of people in a bunch of different ways and see people be creative. That's me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
And it's a big old journey you've been on, hasn't it? So I didn't know that actually. So you were an editor. You were into the editing side of things before you got on YouTube, which is kind of the exact opposite to me. Yeah. So you used to work on a TV show, you say?
Yeah, it was a reality show called Graveyard Cars. It's still running, but ended up kind of grassroots being a producer on that show and helping kind of make that show be a thing, and learned a lot about pitching it to networks and that kind of thing. And it's just, if you can imagine, like, okay, so imagine just a person outside your window at like 2 a.m. just yelling at you. That was like just yelling at you to come out, and come hang out with them. That was pretty much our strategy for getting our show on the networks. Is just calling random people, looking them up on LinkedIn, anybody that says Discovery on their job title, and then just like spamming them until somebody listened. And it took about 5 years. It was crazy.
How many watch lists are you on?
So many. Don't be like me, kids. But funny story, we did so much of that, and you have to put your telephone number on like everything, any kind of like submission form or anything. And so I ended up putting my cell phone number on a ton of stuff, and I ended up having to change my number because I would get calls from people who are fans of the show now that's on, internationally airing. And now people think that's just the number for the TV show. And so I had to change my number because people would call me up all the time and ask about some random car thing. And I know nothing about cars. I knew about video production. So
you didn't feel like just going, just unplug the flux capacitor, route it through the ding dong, and you're good.
Yeah. Well, I picked up some silliness. It's like, that's definitely from the rear escutcheon panel reveal molding that you're going to have to put back on the VS23 V1B138128,
So someone somewhere searching around a store like, where is this?
Where is this?
I can't find it.
Anyway,
Casey
so
promised.
that's some stuff about me. Tell us about you.
About me? So I'm quite different, actually. So my name is, of course, Alex. Alex Matravers is my actual name. I'm better known as MrAlexTech on the interwebs because no one could remember my surname, essentially. It used to be Alex Matravers. No one could remember it. No one could spell it. No one could find me. So I needed a catchier name. I was into photography about 8 years ago. Cars, funnily enough, got me into photography. I enjoyed going out with friends and taking photos and doing all that sort of thing. And then I bought a drone, the original DJI Mavic Air, and wanted to learn more about video editing. So I wasn't even fancy enough to be using any Adobe products. I was using Filmora.
Oh, yeah. Filmora's a good time.
It was okay.
Putting it nicely.
Yeah, it taught me the basics. It taught me about timelines and cutting things up and deleting things. So it got me going. And I quite quickly reached the ceiling of Filmora at the time. Found DaVinci Resolve, found that it was free, which was the main reason I looked at it. Someone was like, this thing's free, you should try it. And I was like, surely it's not free, really. Surely you can't do that much with it. So downloaded it, realized it was free. And yeah, I went from there. That's sort of where my video editing journey began. I really enjoyed it, really wanted to learn more about it, get better at it. I did actually have a YouTube already because I'd started one just talking about cameras. I did like a lens review, and I did a little tutorial about how to light some photos that I took. And it was all just cobbled together in the best way that I could. And at the time, I remember there was you doing tutorials. There was a handful of other sort of colorists, color grading channels, and not that much in terms of DaVinci Resolve tutorials on YouTube. So I thought, well, here's my very first video was 5 beginner's tips. So it was 5 things which I'd learned, which I'd sort of got wrong and then realized, oh, this is how you do it. So I made a tutorial, put it out there. It did quite well. People enjoyed it. There was some nice comments saying, do more of these. So then I just kept doing them, essentially. It was homework for me. It forced me to learn. It forced me to get better. And then it was I've learned something new. Let's make a video about it. Put that on the YouTube. That's how 5 Minute Fridays was born. It was like every week, here's a new thing. And 6 years later, I'm here. Still doing it. Still trying to do the things. Still talking about things. Still pulling stupid YouTube faces. And spending, an awful lot of time in DaVinci Resolve. Do my YouTube stuff. I do some stuff for some other brands. I've obviously been out to ResolveCon to see your lovely face in person and do some talks about DaVinci Resolve. And that's me. From the other side, I am married. I've got a lovely wife called Becky, who people at ResolveCon met because she likes to tag along. I bring her along to these things.
One of the best people. Literally the reason we invite you.
Yeah, I'm just a tag along. I am the plus one. Yep. I've come to terms with this now. It's fine.
It's the best. The sooner you accept that, the better.
I've accepted it. I know my place. I'm not even allowed to leave this room. I'm just a hobbit. She
just hands you a bucket of fish heads every 3 days.
Bills are due. Make a video. I'm like, okay. She's actually not abusive. I should point that out.
Probably clarify that.
She's lovely, and I am allowed to leave sometimes.
Yeah, you're there of your own free will. Absolutely.
Yes, I am. And what else do I do? I do mountain bike, and I love to get out on my mountain bike. I like to be outdoorsy as much as I can, which at the moment isn't that often. Gym. The gym is a big part of my life. I love going to the gym and doing all that, the weights and stuff, because that's fun.
If you don't know, if you can't tell from Alex's videos, that dude is that dude's got some muscles, man. He's a mountain.
It's mainly because I have such a big head. I try and make my body proportionally correct, because otherwise I'd look strange. So there you
Just
go.
Out of necessity.
Yeah, it's not a choice. Once again, it's actually quite funny how many people at ResolveCon were like, "You look bigger in person." I'm like, "Thanks," while also saying that I look shorter, which I get the comment quite a lot, but wider.
Yeah,
I'll take that. I'm happy.
That's
with that.
great.
It's fine.
You look shorter and wider than I thought you would. I don't know why it's that guy. Hi, I'm a generic ResolveCon guest.
They all sound exactly like that, strangely. And that's about it. I do some stuff for charity as well. I try and do bits where I can. It's actually thanks to my lovely wife, Becky, that she got into a charity called Copperfield, which is a breast cancer awareness charity. So they go out and they focus mainly on girls and boys, mainly girls, obviously, because it's breast cancer. Guys can get breast cancer, but it's predominantly, obviously, girls. But you can get it from a young age. And they go out and try and teach young girls to be aware of these things. The founder is a girl called Chris Helenga, and she found some oddities, some lumps when she was 19 or 20. I can't remember her exact age.
Dang.
She was told not to worry about it. She's actually still going. She's not very well at the moment. But yeah, that was cancer. It's turned into stage 4 cancer. She's never going to get better. And if they'd done something at the time, she'd probably be in a much better position. Wow. So she started the charity to basically just go out there and tell people about this.
Man.
So yeah, my wife's a big advocate for them. I try and chip in, do my bits. And we've raised a fair bit of money between us. So
that's really cool, man. That's awesome.
I have a few questions. Go back to you. I have 4 questions when you were doing your introduction that I have for you.
Wow, you're all like, man, great. Okay.
I'm like Parkinson. You don't know Parkinson, do you? It's like a British TV interviewer from years ago.
No, I don't.
No,
Sorry.
He would not travel across the pond. Anyway, why do you not have a coffee YouTube channel? Because your second video on your channel was Real Espresso with a $20 AeroPress.
Yes.
And it's got 626,000 views. Why do you not have a coffee channel where you just talk about AeroPresses and stuff?
I'll tell you what, man. That's a good question. I could probably do a pretty good coffee channel.
Yeah.
And I have thought about it. I've most of my life is spent trying to get myself to focus on a couple things instead of 50. Like that's a legit very big concern in my life.
You've met me and you know I am exactly the same.
Yes. I am obsessed with making things and being creative. And so I literally start a new project probably every month of some kind in some way. And like a long-term, like lifetime project. And then I usually abandon one every month or so too. And so I'm usually trying stuff out to see what works and see what I like. And I often don't actually like what I thought I would like, you know? And so I'll like start making this video and like, I actually hate making these kind of videos, so I'm not going to do that. And then like abandon it, right? So I think part of it is just, I don't want to do another one of those things.
Yeah.
And I've also recently been converted from super coffee snob to just the despicable, just most okay. Just to give you an idea, I'm a morning person. Okay. I don't do caffeine. I'm a morning person who doesn't do caffeine. So basically, I'm enraging.
Yeah, and that totally screws over your coffee channel.
Yeah.
If you're like, this coffee's got caffeine, I can't drink it.
I will drink like hotel decaf and be like, this is pretty good.
Oh.
And like,
how did that happen then? What, did you just wake up one day and went, I don't like who I am? Just changed everything.
Looked in the mirror, I didn't like what I saw.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know how that happened, but it's mostly I was really sick one day. I had like the flu or something, and I was just like, you know, on a YouTube hole, and I got on the hole of what caffeine does to your body and like what it actually is and stuff. And after 2 or 3 videos of that, I'm just like, oh gosh, I don't think I want to put that in my body anymore, you know? And like, it's probably not as bad as the videos said. That's how those things are. They kind of sensationalize things. But I mostly realized I'm like, dude, I'm already pretty freaking chipper. Like,
you probably don't need the caffeine.
I don't need caffeine, you know? It's just not that big a deal to me.
And actually, now you've said it, when I was over with you guys and we did a Starbucks run, a coffee run, and you ordered like a lightning blue iced non-sugar something or other, blah, 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 blah. It's like 20 words for one thing. What even was it? It was a blue lightning something?
It's like a lemonade, basically. It's like a flavored lemonade. Yeah, they have a version of that that's with the energy drink, like a Red Bull kind of, and it's good. I love Red Bull, but I'm like, I probably don't need 240 milligrams of caffeine. So.
I must admit to being not addicted to caffeine, but I do have probably 2 big coffees in the mornings, sometimes one in the afternoon. When I go to the gym, I have a caffeinated sort of pre-workout before we go, and probably have too much caffeine. I could do with cutting out some of it, I think. Yeah. But
so could we all on most things. Yeah.
There's always something I could get rid of.
Absolutely.
The next question I wrote down, still talking about your YouTube channel. When exactly did you lose your mind? I mean this in the nicest way.
What does that mean? What's that in front of everyone? When did you become crazy, sir?
Well, anyone that's watched your latest video is probably asking the same question.
Oh, boy.
And I mean that in a very positive way because I loved it. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed your cartoon from, when was that? 3 weeks ago? Victor and Percy.
Yep.
I thought you did a great job on that.
Thank you.
And Node Land, episode 1, is arguably even better / crazier.
Arguably the worst thing that has ever been made. I love puppets, and I think they're funny.
You can tell.
I think doing anything with a puppet is hilarious. I love it when puppets throw up.
Especially when you play it straight.
Yeah.
A puppet trying to be funny is never funny, but a puppet talking about something serious is always funny.
Yep. Yeah. It's so we did a film a long time ago with our editor Sam, and he went through this phase where he made puppets. Right? He's a lot like me in that he has he has an insatiable need to like just try new things and create things and stuff. And so he went through this thing where he made puppets, and he made these puppets for a video he was doing for school. And we ended up using one of those puppets for a film. And I was like the co-star with the puppet, and I had so much fun and we laughed so much that I'm just like, we got to do that again. And so literally like it's been on our like board on our whiteboard for probably like a year and a half of like, do something with puppets. And so we went through this, like we had this like 3-hour meeting one day, and we're just like, what can we freaking do with puppets? And we ended up being like, all right, what if we do something that's kind of like Sesame Street or like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, like a kid's show of some kind. But it's teaching people how to use Resolve, you know? And so we ended up figuring out, yeah, we should teach people how to use Fusion and learn about nodes and stuff with with puppets. I had my mom create these puppets. My mom is a genius, and she custom made puppets that are designed for this show. And I don't want to give too much away, but this is not the only episode.
How many episodes are there?
I can't tell you.
You're not going to say, ooh. So, I mean, it's a great idea. It's a niche within a niche within a niche within a niche, but it is great. And actually, it's been well received, hasn't it?
Yeah, people like it. It's hard to tell when you make something that foolish if one guy's just going to be like, stop dicking around. Actually teach us how to do stuff.
Yeah. I like the idea there's one subscriber that's subscribed for the coffee content 8 years ago, and he's just refreshed and gone, what in the world?
Just had nothing since then.
Yeah, he's just come up on his feed and gone, oh, I remember Casey. He makes a great coffee.
Dude, okay, so that going back to that video, that has been the single most hated video I've ever made. There have been threats. There have been people get so mad about coffee, which is one of the other reasons I didn't want to do a coffee channel, because I'm like, dude, this is like worse than a Twitter feed, man. Like
the coffee snobs are mean, serious business.
They get mean. Like they're so mad.
I'm gonna go read the comments. That's gonna be my job for this evening.
It's seriously like a little bit unsettling how mean people are.
I mean, am I a coffee? I suppose I am a coffee snob a little bit. I like a good coffee. Sorry, we've gone back to coffee now. I'd never get angry about it. It's such a strange thing to be mad about.
Yeah. Well, okay. This is the way to tell if you're a coffee snob or whatever. What temperature do you want your coffee?
Drinkable.
Okay. But you don't have a number.
No.
Okay. Then you're good. You're fine. You're in a healthy place, I'd say.
I do get frustrated when you go to a coffee shop and they give it to you and it's hotter than the sun.
Yeah.
You have to wait 60 minutes for it to cool down. So I'm like, no, I came here because I want to drink it now. Not tomorrow. Saying that though, in the UK, we like a cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
People will fight over the fact of what goes in first, whether you put the hot water in and then the tea bag and then the milk. Some people put the milk in first and then a tea bag and then the hot water, and people will literally fight over this, like fisticuffs. It's insane.
I've done a lot of like food science research, and by that I mean looking up YouTube videos, right? And I can tell someone that they're objectively wrong if they put the milk in first. Good, we are on the same page. Like, yeah, you aren't making tea.
You have to get the water on the boil.
Yeah, it has to be the right temperature. It's not gonna. And there's like that. There's all that with coffee too, right?
Yeah.
And it's like a certain weight of the grounds, and there's a certain temperature of the water, and how long, all that stuff.
It's all too much for my
It's just like
average.
Do you have other things you do during the day?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was me. That was me, fam.
That was you.
I made reparations for all the people that I've hurt in this process.
I'm not too sure we can continue this podcast. I'm learning too much. We should probably talk more about Resolve.
Okay, if you want to. Yeah.
Well, I don't really want to. We're quite enjoying our conversation.
Yeah.
Have you got any other odd? You haven't really got any other odd videos, have you? That's why the espresso one just sticks out so much. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't belong.
Yeah, it's like my third most popular video or something. It has nothing to do. It's so off. That's all right.
Always makes me chuckle.
What's something that people wouldn't guess about you?
Good question. Loads, I suppose. I have loads of odd things going on. I've got a big head. Yeah. No, it's quite abnormal. I have to order hats from you guys, from the States.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do Americans have bigger heads? Is that a thing?
Well, you just do everything in like
we
up
just
to
have
4XL,
bigger
just in case
stuff.
sort of thing. Yeah, just bigger stuff.
We allow our people to be bigger here.
Yeah. I don't know, actually. I don't really know what to answer for that. Wasn't a massive creative as a kid. This is probably the most relevant thing I can tell you. I always wanted to be. I always had that little thing of like, I wish I could do this or I wish I could do that. And two of my best friends growing up, there's a guy called Ben and a guy called Rich. They were both really good at drawing and really good at music. They're both professional musicians now, and they were really sort of artsy. And I was the one that tried to be, and the pictures never made it to the fridge. You know what I mean? The teacher binned them on the way out and went, no one should see this. So that was kind of my abilities as a child. So I never followed a creative path, sort of growing up or as a kid, or even in my younger years. I did an office job. I worked for various people. I never went to uni, so I don't really have much in terms of qualifications and, from a professional side of view. The highest qualification I have is in exercise and fitness, which is obviously not relevant to any of this.
In some ways, maybe. You can draw some parallels, I bet.
Maybe. I mean, even that was like an evening college sort of course. It wasn't a long thing. And then, it all just sort of fell into place. I always say I started doing photography, and that was that outlet. I finally found something I enjoyed and I was sort of good at, and it was accessible because I bought a relatively cheap camera when they were coming down in price, a digital camera, which wasn't silly money. And that was my gateway into it. People probably assume that I've been doing this for years and I've jumped around from creative jobs, and actually the vast majority of my career I've spent in an office doing very standard office jobs like photocopying and replying to emails and sitting in meetings and doing really boring stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's actually really cool that you have kind of that perspective of somebody who's, relatively new to this stuff, because I think that's one of the things that helps you make these lessons really clear to your audience, because there's a lot of people that are like that. It's you're not going to teach video editing to somebody who's been editing videos for 20 years.
Exactly. Yeah. And when I started, I was almost shied away from the fact of like, I'm a bit of a noob and I'm kind of making it up as I go. But then shortly realized that, like you say, that's a positive thing. Mm-hmm. It's a cool thing. It's a cool thing to go, I'm actually only 4 weeks ahead of you. So if you try and do that thing, that's not quite going to work. Do it this way. Whereas someone that's a year ahead of you has probably forgot those tiny things which trip you up, and they look at the big picture rather than the small details. Now I am obviously a few years sort of down the line, but I always try and keep that mentality of break it down into the tiny things which would trip me up if I didn't know all of this.
Yeah. And
there's no shame in any of that either.
No.
Sometimes people will comment on the video and go, this is really simple. It's like, it's only simple if you know it. If you don't know it, you don't know it. There's no shame there. There's no embarrassment to be had. It's just, you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. And I think there's a huge place for, education for newer people, because the people that do know like a lot of what they're doing, one, they're not necessarily a good teacher. And two, they might not know how to break it down to the point where, that would have helped them when they were new. Right. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I like the most about your videos is, man, they're so easy to follow. They're so simple, and you make it not intimidating to jump in and do these really cool things that, everybody wants to do now. Everybody wants to have these really cool transitions and, effects and everything for their animations and that kind of thing. And you just make it so simple and feel so easy. I mean, I learn a ton from your videos, man. Like, honestly, I look up your videos probably a few times a month at least to get a refresher on something that I've forgotten.
Thank you very much. If I'm being totally honest, so do I. Because I quite often have to go back and watch an old video to remember how I did something.
Yes.
It's really interesting, actually, because I always say, give it a click. And just go, you just give it a click. And the amount of people that have come up to me when I've met people that have, follow me and watch my channel, they say, give it a click. Mm-hmm. And I just said it out like it was a normal thing. And they're like, by saying that, you take all the scariness out of it. Nothing's going to happen. Just give it a click and see what happens.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that have said they really appreciate that really innocuous, small thing, which I just say because I'm a Brummie and I don't have the widest selection of words to pick from. So I say, give it a click. And it's just resonated with some people, which is really cool.
That's awesome.
So, on a similar note, let's talk about if you were giving some advice to someone today about getting started in either in editing or DaVinci Resolve or YouTube, anything you like, actually. How would you do it? What would you say? What was the advice that you'd give? Either a really practical thing, like just give it a click, or more of a mentality thing, or a hypothetical, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think just kind of starting out with your mindset is I think that when we have some kind of new thing that we want to do, it's really intimidating, and it can feel like you want to get it perfect the first time. That's the way my wife is and the way my son is. And it's not really the way I am. And so I have to kind of like, I don't know, twist my mind into understanding this. But that's this thing that I see a lot with creative people, is the thing that holds them back is they're afraid to fail.
Yeah.
And when you're afraid to fail, then that means that taking any kind of amount of effort, putting any kind of effort into something it has this kind of monumental importance. And so you're basically working out of fear. And when you are doing something from the perspective of fear, you can't think clearly. Right? And so you're not going to be doing your best work when you're working from fear. And you're also going to take less risks, and you're going to learn less if you're afraid all the time. And so I think the main piece of advice I would give is like, it's okay to just start imperfectly. It's okay to put out something that you think is just okay. Especially when you're starting. Because half of the battle is just literally going through the whole process of, let's say creating a video, right? If you want to start on YouTube, I'll tell you, it is the simplest thing ever. Make a YouTube channel, shoot something that you think might work, edit it, and post it to the YouTube channel. Do that 50 times, and you are going to learn how to be a video editor. Like, you're going to learn how to be a YouTuber. That's all you have to do. You have to start and not be afraid to make mistakes, and just learn from the mistakes. It's okay. You don't have to get it perfect. You don't have to. I mean, nobody's like holding a gun to your head and saying like, if this isn't the most mind-blowing video, you're gone.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more. Just start is what I say to everyone. And I mean, that's one of the great things about being in 2023. YouTube is free. If you want to start a YouTube channel, you make an account, you click new, and then you're good to go. And you can go and download DaVinci Resolve, and it's completely free. And you can do a hell of a lot with the free version.
Yeah.
You could run an entire channel. There could be people out there with millions of subscribers, and they're still using the free version.
Absolutely.
Because it does everything that you really need. And it's so accessible now. With the iPad app, if you've got an iPad, you can download that and you can try it on that. It's not necessarily the best place to start, but it's there. So if you've got it, you download the app, you can start going with it. So, I couldn't agree more. I think just get going, and you'll learn as you go. And as you say, you can't really go wrong. If there's no one waiting on you, there's no responsibilities, there's no pressure. If it goes wrong, you go, oh, well, I'll try again.
Yeah, just try again. It's okay.
Just try again.
All right. How about you? Big tip for somebody getting started.
Well, you stole my number one. So that was my number one as well.
Well, give me your number two then.
I'll give you my number two. It's very similar. It's another philosophy style one. It actually comes from the design world. People have probably heard it. It's an acronym, KISS. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. That's all it is. And if, as you said, if you have an idea for something, shoot it. Just take your phone and try and record anything. A family barbecue. If you've got OBS, run in, record a gaming session with your friends. Do literally anything. Anything to get yourself some footage, and then dump it in DaVinci Resolve and just start cutting it up. You know, if you've recorded an hour's gaming session, just try and cut it down to 10 minutes. Cut out all the stuff. Don't do any transitions or titles or anything. Just try and cut out all the stuff and make like a funny 10-minute thing you can send to your friends.
Yes.
And that's it. That's all it is. And you do one of those and your friends laugh. You go, oh, there's something here. That's fun. I've got a warm, fuzzy feeling because I did something. And it was not that complicated, really. I just cut stuff out and rendered it, and it's cool. And I kept it simple. And yeah, and then you go from there. And then you may do that again and get a bit better, like we were saying before. And you'll learn as you go. And then you can maybe start to add some additional things in it. But keep it simple. Have some fun with it. Don't put the pressure on yourself, and off you go.
Such a great point. Such a great point. I think we overcomplicate stuff, man. That's the thing. That's like, there's so much stuff in the way of us just doing the thing. And honestly, like, in not even just starting out, like literally at, 1 million subscribers level, you can still keep it simple. It's not like you keep it simple for a long time and then you like can get more complicated. Like, yes, you can, but you don't have to. I mean, some of the most effective things in the world are just dead simple.
I do it now with my YouTube. I'll overthink something. I'll have an idea and I'll spend days getting annoyed at myself because it doesn't quite work. And then I'll just go, oh, you know what? I'm just going to turn the camera on and start talking. And then it comes out and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's quite good. Perfect. We'll go with that. And I could have done that 4 days ago and not been pulling my hair out for days trying to figure out all the minutiae, good word, of all of this sort of stuff. I should have just got going with it and seen what happened.
Yeah, something I think about, like, if you don't make something, like if you don't finish something, if you're busy worrying about how it's not good enough or worrying about how it should be fancier or, overcomplicating it and that kind of thing, you're spending that time and energy with this project just kind of sitting there and nobody watching it. It doesn't exist yet until it's finished. And so I think it's such a good idea to put out something that's imperfect and that's simple because it exists and then just do better the next time. It's okay.
Yeah. And even if you put it out there and go, that wasn't quite as good as I want, redo the same thing. Oh. You could literally go and re-edit the same thing and add an additional bit. Just go, I'll make this a bit fancier or a bit better.
Version 2.
Or whatever. Just do a version 2. And you don't need to get fancy with it. I think part of the problem is today with TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and people watch, Mr. Beast and go, I need to do that. Yeah. I need to go get a loan for 20 grand to give to a homeless person for my first video. And you're like, no, don't do that.
Please
That's
don't
a silly idea. It's a terrible idea. And people look at the top end of the scale. It's like, just start small. Just, again, I mean, I don't like to use Mr. Beast as an example because he's it's a one of a kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if you go back and look at his original videos, he was just a kid in the bedroom. And I think if you're going to take anything from Mr. Beast, go watch those videos.
Yeah.
Because he was just a kid messing around doing silly stuff. And now he's wherever he is.
Yeah.
And you just keep it simple and you build from there and you learn and you grow and you develop and you never know where you end up. You might be on a podcast with Casey Faris one day.
Or MrAlexTech. That'd be awesome. Yeah, man. Oh, such good points.
What about you? What about a more practical?
Yeah.
Practical one.
Something I'm a big fan of is doing studies. So if you want to learn a specific skill or even just a group of skills, I think it's so helpful to do a project, and it doesn't have to be a high stakes project. It can be something really little. It doesn't even have to be a real thing. It can just be messing around, but it's for a point of learning a specific skill, doing a specific part of your workflow. I would do this with, when I was in school, I didn't know I was doing this, but this is what I was doing in school is they would say like, all right, we're going to do this movie project. And I would say, okay, I'm going to get really good at lighting. Like, I'm not going to care much about anything else. It's going to have sucky sound. It's going to have sucky camera work, but the lighting is going to be on point. Right. And so just focusing on making that better on that project. And the rest of it might've sucked, but the lighting was decent. And then after that, it's like, I've upped my lighting skills in a practical context.
Yeah. Got you.
And then on the next one, and be like, all right, I'm going to, because I remember I did one that the story wasn't that great. There was a bunch of stuff that wasn't that great, but I wanted to record separate sound and sync it up, and I'd never done that before. And so I wanted to use an external recorder and make sure you could hear everything really well. And so I did a lot of work on that and spent most of my time on audio and learned a lot about audio just with that. And like, that's something I do with Fusion a lot nowadays is I'll open it up and be like, all right, I'm going to learn everything about the background node and just see all the different things I can do with the background node. And it's like, I'm not making really anything other than a fancy background, but spending 45 minutes messing with that, dude, I learned so much. And it feels stupid. It feels stupid to like put your time and energy into something that isn't going to be like a big, awesome movie, but like pays dividends, man. So good.
Yeah. And it's small steps, isn't it? You do a tiny thing every day for a year, and all of a sudden you've got a big thing.
Yeah.
I'd imagine if you went back and looked at all of our YouTube channels, our audio was probably pretty crappy when we started. Because the same thing, you go, I want this to look fancy and shiny and have nice titles on it. And you go, I'll worry about the audio later.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what we all did.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did with my 5 Minute Friday. Every week I learnt a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now I know quite a lot of things just by doing the simple thing every week. And then, a year later you go, I know 52 things. That's cool.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. You're like, I know these things now. I didn't know that I was going to know these things. So that's a really good point. I think they go together. Mm-hmm. Make a plan, have a rough, but keep it simple, at least initially, and grow it and get more complicated as you go.
Yeah.
The Blackmagic training is a really great place for that because they do the little projects and they do the aeroplane one when it's like, make some titles and we're going to cut this together. And it's a good place to start, actually, if you're looking for some specific DaVinci Resolve stuff.
Yeah. And if nothing else, just getting the footage and playing around with it and making some cuts and stuff. And they have all that's kind of optimized to be easy to download and learn and play around with too. Really good stuff.
And if you can't sleep, there's a 4,000-page manual you can read.
Yeah.
That'll put you to sleep. That'll put anyone to sleep.
It's actually very well written, I think.
It really is.
And quite entertaining for the most part, but it's 4,000 pages.
Yeah. There is actually some quite amusing little Easter eggs in there.
Yeah, there are. That's fun.
Yeah, some like snarky comments and this sort of thing, which are very amusing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's no one in the world can make 4,000 pages of DaVinci Resolve technicalities interesting. Mm-hmm. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
But it is a fantastic resource, by the way. So again, if anyone's listening, in your version of DaVinci Resolve, click on Help at the top and you can access the manual.
Yeah.
You don't need to go looking for the website. It's all there. It's all on your system already. So yeah, go get it. Have a look.
Excellent.
If there's something you don't know how to do, search it and you'll find it in there.
You got maybe like one more tip for people?
Yeah, this one's, again, even more specific, but I'd be pained if I didn't mention it. Alt key. Learn the Alt key or the Option key if you're on a Mac. I'll say this in every single podcast if I have to, because it's my favorite key.
It is a good one.
It's a great one. And I know everyone's sick to death of it, but learning shortcuts, when you go to look at the keyboard customization in Resolve, there's a million shortcuts and it's a nightmare. Whereas if you learn the Alt key, it'll sort of potentially 10x your workflow and you've only learnt one thing. And it's obviously limited, but you can do an awful lot with it. You can duplicate things on the timeline and you can separate your audio from your video and you can make tiny adjustments to things within the inspector. And there's just loads of things. It's kind of the default modifier key within Resolve. So learn about the Alt key.
Get a 3-button mouse.
Yes. Although I tried that. I did a video all about the mice and then my problem, I don't know if you have this problem actually. Let's ask the question. Do you use a custom layout?
No.
No.
Well, okay. No, but I've done a couple tweaks. So I guess technically, yeah, but it's not like a really different.
And I think we're in the same boat because I tried. I'd love to be able to do, the whole left-hand editing with the people remap Q, W, and E and all that sort of stuff. Mm. But then you record a video and you go, I need to tell people the default keyboard shortcuts for this. And if I do a fancy keyboard shortcut and don't announce what's happening, I'll get a comment saying, this thing happened and you didn't tell me how to do it.
Yes.
So I'm stuck in the keyboard and mouse world. Like
Yep.
the default keyboard. I'm a keyboard and mouse editor, and people think it's weird because
Yeah.
everyone else has got custom setups and they're super fancy. But we need to do it the way it comes out the box, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. And that's why I haven't really dove into that, is because I'm like, dude, I'm teaching this, and like, you know, I did remap. I mean, I remapped a couple of keys, like the split clip I just have as S, which I actually, that's in Sony Vegas, I think, actually, because that was like one of the first editors I used. But it's nice because it's next to Q and W and stuff. Anyways, but it's the normal one is Control / and I never use Control / I think that's a terrible.
They're miles away from each other.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've made a couple tweaks like that, but I'll always just press the button that I use and then just tell people to press the other button.
Oh, that's just more to remember. I'd forget.
Yeah. Well, it's only like 2 or 3 things on mine. It's like ripple, delete, split, and what's the other one? I don't know. I have E as something now. Oh, it's go to previous marker. That's what it is, which is shift up. So
Okay. Got
yeah,
it.
that's
There you
pretty
go.
much all I use.
First world problems that we have.
Yeah, it's so terrible.
I know.
Man, hopefully we'll get through this trial.
Excellent. Anything else? Anything else you'd like to add on that one?
Yeah, I mean, as far as getting started, I think that I would just say make what you want to make. Because if you try to make things that you think other people are going to like, it's going to feel empty pretty soon. Unless you somehow decide that you like it also. The only thing that's actually going to work for content creation is if you find the mix of what other people like and what you like, and what you have like time to do, right? So, because it's not realistic. If you hate it and everybody else likes it, then you might do it out of, you know, feeling like you need to, but then you're not going to like it, right? If you do stuff that only you want to do but nobody cares, then I mean, that's cool and that's fulfilling, but if you want other people to watch it, you do have to make some, you know, you have to put some effort into making something that other people like, you know?
Yeah, and you can turn things on its head, I think. I always say to people, like, if you want to, I don't know, if you've got a hobby that you enjoy, but your videos aren't doing particularly well, just do a how-to. Talk about how you do the thing, because people are always searching how to do the things.
Yes, that's such a good idea.
It's like if you play golf and you made a vlog of you and your friends playing golf and no one watches it because they don't know you and your friends, so it's not that interesting, just do a real quick how-to. And then do that 1 week, it's a vloggy thing, and the next week we teach people something because people are searching for that and people are naturally going to find it, and then they may get to know you, and then they may go and watch the vloggy stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think, you can still do what you like, but make it more searchable or more relevant for this social media world.
Yeah. Man, that's such a good point, because like so often I feel like people will make something that they like and they'll put it out and nobody will watch it and they'll go, ugh. And it's like, well, YouTube's the biggest search engine in the world, or the second biggest search engine in the world, and it's hooked up to Google, the biggest, right? And so people are searching for how to do stuff a lot. That's like one of the biggest things that people search for. And so if you want people to actually watch it, you got to kind of do something like that. I honestly do not know how to do YouTube that isn't informational like that. Like I have pretty much figured out like how you can grow a YouTube channel like that. But I'm like, you know, my dad is a really good painter actually. And he's like, yeah, I want to do a YouTube channel about like my paintings. And I'm like, cool. Do you want to teach people how to paint? And he's like, not really. And I'm like, then I don't know how to do that. Like, I have no idea how to market your paintings, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because unless someone is literally searching for, like, someone goes on YouTube and goes, I want to watch Father Faris painting a duck.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to get that in front of them?
Yes, exactly. Do a twist, like an educational twist on stuff, man. That's an easier way to get in front of people, I would say.
Yeah, and there's just immediate value to that as well.
Yeah.
If people come away from something that they found, especially if they find it fun, if someone enjoys it, you know, they laugh at something, but then they also go, oh, I learned something. That was really useful. That to me is the perfect place to be in.
So good.
So,
I totally agree.
It sounds like we almost know what we're talking about.
Almost.
Almost. Maybe not quite, but we're trying.
Well, we should probably get wrapping this up. But do we have anything in the news? Anything of note?
Very minor news. There's not much been going on in the world, but DaVinci Resolve 18.6.2 is available, which is a bit of a mouthful. It's just been squashing some bugs, man. That's all 18.6.2 is doing. So they broke the timelines. If you copied a timeline, you'd lose all the settings, which is not a good thing.
No.
So they squashed that one in 16.2. 16.1 was also another one. That only came out a few days ago. Fixing some bugs.
Yeah.
Did you have many bugs with 18.6?
I didn't have many. I had one that was terrible.
Which one did you get?
Where it was when you ripple delete, it would mess up the audio.
Yeah.
And that is like the main button we hit at my studio is ripple delete. And it was just like instantly ruin everything.
That's
and
a
like
big one.
One day, like all three of us were just like, what do we do?
See, I didn't get that one. It's so strange because I did a video about 18.6 and everyone was, and my video was like, look how cool it is.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, no,
was like,
it's broke. And I felt bad because I couldn't replicate the issues.
Are you on Mac?
No, PC.
Oh, weird. I don't know. Yeah, we're on PCs here and it was rough, man, but they fixed it. So it feels good now.
Yeah, there must be some very minor thing which screwed them up and not the others. But yeah, it's all fixed.
Yeah.
The only other tiny bit of news, there's an update to this Blackmagic camera app, the free one for iPads and iPhones. It's now on 1.1. It adds support for recording in 23.98, 29.97, and 59.94.
Nice.
There you go. Amongst some other bits and bobs. It's not, I don't have an iPhone.
Yeah.
I know you don't have an iPhone. We had this discussion.
I have an iPad. I've actually been recording. My son started a YouTube channel recently.
Oh, bless.
And that's been really cool. But yeah, I've been recording that on the Blackmagic app on iPad and then editing it on Resolve on iPad and putting it up. And that's a great workflow, man. That's really nice.
Been working okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I should try it.
I've been trying the cloud stuff, and they've probably fixed it by now, but I tried it a few weeks ago and it wasn't working. But
I think they have been running some fixes. I have been using it and it's been quite good actually. I'm about to start using it with someone else, so I should report back on that in the next podcast. But even I use it just for me, just because I'm lazy and I don't want to have to carry an SSD around. It's like,
oh well, we use the cloud. The cloud server all the time. I was talking about the syncing
storage.
the media from the iPhone to the cloud.
Oh, specifically. Got you. Sorry. So I've been syncing media from PC to Mac, and that's been working okay.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Yeah.
Can you reveal when the next Puppets episode may be coming?
By the time this comes out, there will be another one.
Ooh.
I'll give you that.
So we can discuss your further decline.
Yes, what has happened? Yes, yeah, it should be good. But yeah, we're mostly just working on improving our Fusion 0 to Hero course right now, and we have a lot of students going through that, and people are really liking it, really having a good time. It's been so cool to see people that don't know how to do motion graphics and visual effects making things and getting excited and making graphics for their YouTube channels and stuff. And it's like all these little light bulbs going on
that's
over
amazing.
People's heads. It's just so encouraging, man.
So I mean, it's worth do us a real quick 30-second pitch. What is this? What is your 0 to Hero kind of thing?
So I found that when you're learning a piece of software, you can learn the tools, and it's great. And you can learn that on YouTube, right? I mean, you could go on probably either of our YouTubes and learn quite a bit of stuff about Fusion, right? But what I see really helps people is when they wrap their head around the big concepts of actually how to design things and the kind of big ideas of, you can limit what a node does with a mask or a mat, and here's how to use a mat, and here's how to connect these nodes up in a way that's actually practical and works. The kind of stuff that you really need like normally you would learn from experience, right? For, years working in the industry. Well, this is my attempt to make a class that teaches you those things, not just how to use the tools, but actually the mindset of a compositor. So somebody who actually intuitively kind of knows how to create the things that you can imagine in your mind. And so we give you all the tools to be able to do that. And at the end of the course, you'll be able to see something on TV or whatever, and you'll be able to break it down in your mind and kind of instantly understand how you would make something like that in Fusion, which just unlocks so much potential. I mean, you can make anything you want if you get to that point, right? But you can learn all the tools you want and still not know that. And so that's kind of the connection that we're making there. It's designed for people who haven't done a whole lot of Fusion or haven't even really like been into After Effects or whatever. Obviously it's a leg up if you have, but if you're like, I would like to make graphics, but I don't even really know where to start, that's the perfect place to start.
Amazing. Where can they find it?
Groundcontrol.film.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Check out Magic Animate. Check out that course, and that'd just be super.
Check out Puppets and Espresso videos.
Yes.
And whatever else we have.
Well, this has been so great, man. Thank you for hanging out and agreeing to do this podcast with me. So
always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Wonderful.
Well, mainly this time in 2 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mainly,
pretty much.
Mainly, yeah.
So, hey, let us know, you who are listening, let us know what you think about the podcast. Please, we need some feedback. We need some encouragement. Do the thing where you rate it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. That helps people actually get to see this and trust it and all that stuff. Constructive
abuse is welcome.
Yep. Yeah. Send Alex an email. You can send him as many hate mails as you want. If it's good, you can send them to me.
Yeah, it's fine. It's ihatealex.com.
Yeah. There's no way that's true. Oh, that's awesome.
I bet it exists. I bet someone's made it.
Probably so. All right. Well, how do we sign off this thing? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe we just hit stop.
I guess we'll just hit stop.
Bye.
Boop.